One of the things that I love about college football the most is the chaos. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? It's me again, Golden Blue Dude, and if you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe button. Whether you agree with me, want to talk trash talk with me, or trash talk to me, pretty sure you're going to enjoy this channel. I'm bringing back the chaos meter for this video, and I'm going to set it on the low end of high. The reason it's not higher is there wasn't really a ton of upsets, just a lot of chaos within the games themselves. But first, here are the honorable mentions. Georgia Southern at Army, LSU at Arkansas, Middle Tennessee at Troy, San Diego State at Nevada, and Cal at Oregon State. The chaos actually started on Thursday with the game between Tulane and Tulsa. Tulane coming in at 5-5, Tulsa 5-1, looking really good. Their only loss to Oklahoma State and ranked number 25. Well, this was a crazy one. Tulane took the lead with 1:38 left in the fourth quarter with a touchdown. But as time expired, Tulsa tied the game, sent it to overtime. They swapped field goals in the first overtime, and then Tulsa finally won it in the second overtime. So it was an improbable comeback worth mentioning. Then a Big Ten game on Friday had some drama and chaos. Purdue at Minnesota was a very interesting game to watch, but all that was forgotten at the end of the game because the officials stole the show. There was a bogus offensive pass interference called on Purdue. There was nothing that even resembled offensive pass interference, so that should not have been thrown, and it cost Purdue the game. Minnesota holds on and beats Purdue 34-31, but you have to give an assist to the officials in that game. Saturday had some chaos as well. I'm going to start with a game that not a lot of people watch because not very high-profile teams in this matchup. Arkansas State at Texas State. Now, the final score was 47-45, Texas State. But there was some chaos towards the end of this game as well. Arkansas State took the lead with 1:43 left in the fourth quarter, a 4-point lead. So a field goal would have done nothing for Texas State. So what do? They punch it in with 36 seconds left, take the lead, and beat Arkansas State 47-45. In the Pac-12, UCLA traveled to Oregon and was a 17.5-point underdog. They committed 4 turnovers, but they still hung in there and made Oregon sweat. In the end, Oregon prevailed 38-35, but Oregon not looking like a playoff team. Oregon has to do much better. Oregon needs style points to get in the playoffs at this point, so this is not going to cut it. The reason I'm mentioning this game is Penn State. Iowa at Penn State. Iowa blows out Penn State 41-21. Why is this in the chaos? Well, for one thing, Penn State committed 4 turnovers. And another thing, Penn State is 0-5. They started the season number 8 in the country, and now they're sitting at 0-5. Yes, I think that's worth a mention in a chaos video. Let's jump over to the SEC. Mississippi State at Georgia. Georgia was a 26.5-point favorite, number 13 in the nation. But Mississippi State goes in there and scares Georgia. Quarterback Will Rogers, 41 for 52, 78%, 336 yards, and 1 touchdown. So Mississippi State's quarterback was looking really good. Kirby Smart puts in quarterback JT Daniels. He was 28 for 38, 401 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Georgia pulls off the victory 31-24, but they were a 26.5-point favorite. That's not a good look for Georgia. Number 7, Cincinnati traveled to UCF. Cincinnati was a 6-point favorite, so not a huge favorite, but a favorite. Their quarterback Ritter, 21 for 32, 338 yards and 2 touchdowns, so he did his part. But UCF gave Cincinnati all they could handle. Dylan Gabriel, he was 26 for 49, 243 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And UCF didn't quite have enough to pull off the upset, and Cincinnati prevails 36-33. But how will that affect Cincinnati in the playoff rankings? We'll see on Tuesday. The Cinderella story that is Liberty. They were number 21 in the nation going into NC State. Oh, this was a tough one to watch. Quarterback Malik Willis, 13 for 32, 172 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Did not have a good day. at all. But they were still in this game near the end of the game. And with a minute and 18 left in the fourth quarter, they had a chance to take the lead with a field goal. It was a 39-yard attempt, and what happens? NC State blocks it and snuffs out any chance Liberty had of having a perfect season. Number 10, Wisconsin, on the road at number 17, Northwestern. And I called the upset in this game. Wisconsin had 5 turnovers, and Northwestern only had 263 offensive yards. But Northwestern's defense looks very good, and they hold Wisconsin to 7 points. The final score was 17-7. That knocks Wisconsin out of the playoff picture. I mean, they would need Northwestern to lose 2 more games, and then Wisconsin would have to beat Ohio State to get in the playoffs. It's not happening. Wisconsin is out of the playoffs, and Northwestern now has a legitimate shot of making the playoffs. Speaking of Ohio State, they were in a chaotic game themselves. In the third quarter, it looked like Ohio State was going to cruise to a blowout. It was 35-7. They were in control. They were looking good. And then all of a sudden, Michael Penix went off on the Ohio State defense. But let's not forget, Justin Fields did have struggles earlier in the game, throwing 2 interceptions, his first interceptions of the year. Michael Penix, he finished 26 for 50, 495 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Justin Fields for Ohio State, 18 for 30, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 3 interceptions. The saving grace for Ohio State was actually their running back. Running back Master Teague, 26 carries for 169 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ohio State had 607 offensive yards. Indiana had a chance to tie the game and send it into overtime, but Ohio State was able to hold them off, and they pull off the victory, 42-35. But like I said, beginning of the third quarter, they were up 35-7. It never should have came down to that. So, in my eyes, Ohio State did not look like a playoff team in this game. If you look at the games they played before, they didn't play any difficult competition, and they didn't look all that good. So I knew Indiana was going to give them issues. But when it was 35-7, I was like, man, I'm going to eat my words. But no, Indiana makes it a game and proves that Ohio State needs some work if they expect to compete in the playoffs. The most chaotic game of the day was between 2 non-ranked teams. I'm talking about Michigan at Rutgers. This was a nutty game. And it really got crazy towards the end of the game. The quarterback from Michigan, Cade McNamara, he was 27 for 36, 75%, 260 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He looks like a very good quarterback. The chaos started happening towards the end of the fourth quarter. Rutgers was able to tie the game with 27 seconds left in the fourth quarter. So we went to overtime. Everybody's thinking, well, Michigan blew it. So they go into overtime. Michigan misses their field goal. Oh, Michigan blew it again. But then Rutgers missed their field goal. They swapped scores in the second OT. Then they go to the third OT where you're required to try for 2-point conversions after a touchdown. And Michigan failed their 2-point conversions. So that left the door open for Rutgers, but they weren't able to sneak in. And Michigan holds off mighty Rutgers 48-42 in triple overtime. Jim Harbaugh, he has got to be firmly on the hot seat because Michigan is not looking good at all, and they'll probably get plastered by Ohio State. So we'll see how it goes at the end of the year, but right now it's not looking good for Jim Harbaugh. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.